Well, Flamenco Willie here.
How you doing?
Said, hey.
You know, I was coming over to the studio a few minutes ago, and I went to take this towel off, and I says...
a drunk ran up and put that towel on there.
That's terrible. It's not what happened. I says, you know, you just look so handsome with that on. You just ought to leave it on.
He's real sensitive about his hair, ladies and gentlemen, but I've noticed that the gray is... But we're going to have to get the Grecian formula on you, boy. You're getting older and sexy.
I am so sorry that you said that, because when I come in to do next week's show, it's not going to be like this anymore, because Mr. Steve is going to work his magic on it.
He's going to blonde you up real bad.
So next week it's going to be
He'll
blonde
look like
hair.
Troy Donahue.
Or Tab Honor. Or as an old man. Oh, it's going to be a mean show. I can tell you that.
Well, Bly, today
Johnson,
we have... I have to say this in all honesty.
Say it, please.
This is probably the wildest thing that we have ever cooked on this show. It is not the wildest thing we've ever served. Doris did that to us some years ago, as we all recall.
Yes.
But this recipe is the recipe from Hades. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I am doing, let me see if I can say this right, cuisse de porc au sauerkraut.
Well, that's easy for you to say.
Which is pigtails in sauerkraut. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I, Laban Johnson, world-famous cook, will be cooking a pig's tail today on the show. So get those pencils ready. You don't want to miss this one.
Well, now let me ask you something.
Right.
How many people in TV land will be interested in doing something with a pig's tail?
Oh, maybe out of the several million that watch this show, I would say maybe...
6 Ignats, right?
No, I mean, they're popular. I mean, I found them right here in a butcher shop.
Well, I guess so. You know what we used to do on Butcher Day? You know, we used to, in the fall of the year, we'd butcher...
Oh, no, you're not going to tell us another farm
story. That's
Oh.
right. We would butcher 4 or 5 pigs, if you can imagine. Just a lot of pigs. And one of the things that they would do, the guys would do, that was always a lot of fun, was see who could see who could pin the pig's tail on somebody without them knowing it.
I'm sorry you didn't tell me that earlier.
That's true. I don't want you to know that. No, that's true. And I don't know what that meant. If you got the pigs, I mean, you didn't have any feeling in your rear end, probably, is what it meant. But anyway, other than that, can't remember what it meant. First, I just got to do one thing, and then I'll turn it over to you. I've got to start out with 2 pounds of, I'm going to tell you what I'm doing, a mock stuffed cabbage. And I tell you, this is good stuff, because I tried some of it yesterday. It was real good stuff. And we're going to start out with 2 pounds of ground chuck and 1 pound of pork sausage. And I'm getting the pork out of the thing right now. And the first thing you got to do is mix that and a cup of uncooked, where is it, uncooked, well, you go right, it's left. You go left, it's right. It's very confusing. I don't know what to tell you.
Oh, give it up.
Anyway, uncooked, 1 cup of rice. And then to that 2 pounds of chuck, you will add 1 pound of just regular pork sausage and 2 eggs. And I will tell you, as you're putting this in, it's real good to crumble it up. Big John. Sort of narrow at the shoulders and broad at the hips, and everyone knew you didn't give no lip to Big John.
Right.
Now, I bet you wonder why we're singing that, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, if you live in the South, you'll know.
You'll know, because of the sausage I'm using, that's why. So anyway,
which was on sale. It was real cheap.
It
this
was.
week.
So crumble that stuff all up real good, because if you don't, you will have a mess you can't get out from under one baby. And do it while it's real cold, like it is there, so it'll crumble up. There is nothing you can do but get your hands in there. The next thing you do is you start kind of mixing this around with the chuck, because you're going to make meatballs out of this, and then we're going to put some egg in there as soon as we get it a little bit further along. Go ahead, Johnson.
Well, my recipe, these
Mr. Pigtail McGillicuddy.
These pigtails, this recipe was sent in by Jan Young of Chandler, Arizona. And I said to myself, well, wouldn't it be funny if we did this recipe and used the French name, which I forgot to find out how to say. So I looked
We
to
know.
see if I could find out how to write it, at least in French, in my Escoffier cookbook. And do you know this recipe is right there in that old French cookbook? Escoffier is virtually, not word ingredient for ingredient, but this is a genuine, real recipe. This is not some phony joke. This is real. It's just not something that we normally cook in the modern home.
2 eggs.
What?
I have to
No,
add
it doesn't have any eggs in it.
2 eggs to this so I can get back in there with my hands and mess it around with my bare hands.
Well, now, Bly,
What?
I want to show everybody what a pigtail looks like raw. Right off in the pig.
Ain't nothing but a pig's tail.
All right, here it is. And there it is. And
Oh,
this
that's
is the part
attractive.
that's curled up.
Uh-huh.
And it's got right much of the meat on it. And
Looks-
you know where it's located on the pig.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
Is, well, let's go over here to the dining room, boys. And the pigtail hooks right. Oh, wait a minute. This pig does not have it. The tail has run off the end of the canvas.
I believe half its derriere
let's try
has been
over on
chopped
this.
off.
Wait a minute. Here's the pig up here on the refrigerator.
for
Oh, wait a
heaven's
minute.
sake.
This pig is also tailless. Bly, bend over.
I will not.
Well, anyway,
you, get
you know
that
where
thing away from me.
you know where it goes. Anyway, that's the pigtail.
Looks
All right.
like that little piggy went to market.
And never got home. Anyway, they
and never
are
got
peeled. They are skinned. Peeled. And
Did you do that yourself,
yes,
Johnson,
yes,
or
and-
was it already
and
peeled
now,
when you
who
got
took
it?
my fork?
Was it
I
already
had a
peeled
big-
when you got it?
Here it is. Now, you cook them. You start out with 2 or 3, depending on the size, pigtails, and
What?
you simmer them until the meat falls off the bone. All right. Now, this is what they look like. Look at this.
Wow.
When they're cooked.
Oh, that's attractive.
Doesn't that look good?
Oh, yeah. Look, Johnson, you
And,
know I would love.
They're and it takes about 2 to 3 hours to get the meat to fall off in the bone.
Now, let me do something real
And
quick.
you simmer it in some spicy water. I put in some, now, Jan didn't tell us to do this, but you put in some hot pepper flakes and some salt and pepper and stuff so that they got a good flavor to them if you got to eat them. All right, now you can go to Bly, who's twiddling around.
Well, I'm not twiddling around. I got to get something done. Now that you've got this combination of chuck and pork sausage and egg and rice, you roll these, it says, into golf ball size balls. And at the same time, you're heating up your oil over on the stove. And what you will start doing is frying these. And I found out something yesterday. If you fry these things real good and done, it gets rid of most of the grease, and you won't have to dip so much grease off of the final product once it has cooked for a while. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to brown those things. And I'm not going to make all of them this makes, because this makes enough to feed Coxey's Army if they was here. Coxey's Army.
Coxey's Army.
These kids are all young and ignorant. They have no idea what it means. No historical perspective whatsoever here on the staff.
Well, no, it was an army of people that went to Washington to try to get retirement out of the government. Sound familiar?
Uh-huh. They're
And that
still
was
up there.
Coxey's Army. Okay, anyway.
So anyway, that's what they
All right,
are.
now into your pan of pigtails that have been simmering for about 3 hours and are very tender, meat falling off the bone, and we have drained or got rid of a good part of the stock. Then you're going to start layering your dinner into here. So first I have sliced up a big old onion, and I'm going to throw the big old onion down onto the boiling, fiery, hot pigtails that are steaming here, and so the onions can cook first.
Doris, I need something to turn these balls with.
Have you got a pair of pliers? All right, now we've got the large onion, and we got to have a large clove of garlic, which I don't really have, so I'm using a couple of small ones, and I'm going to chop it up just a little bit and sprinkle that garlic down in there on top of those onions. And now I'm going to throw in some carrots. I've got 3 carrots, and I'm going to slice them up real fine.
When do you throw the tail in?
Oh, the tail is already in there.
Oh, okay. I hadn't been
Oh,
paying
don't
attention.
worry. I've got one all ready to go.
Okay.
Yes, Bly, today will be your first chance to eat a pig's tail on TV.
I can hardly wait.
Oh, I know.
I'm going to tell you something. I've, lived on a farm for 18 years,
He
but I'm
has
going to
no
tell you something.
sense of pigtail
I
etiquette.
have never eaten a pigtail in my life. So,
Well, you've eaten an oxtail. Haven't you had oxtail soup?
now, over here in a big old pot, which is on the stove, you're going to put some crushed tomatoes, big old can of crushed tomatoes. Open that up, and we're going to start making up the second portion of this. While these things are frying, you got to start getting all the stuff that's going to go into the soup it's going to go into. So I'll be starting that. Have you got an opener over there, Johnson?
Yeah.
Please.
Just give me a second here till I can finish chopping on this little end of the carrot. But I want it back.
And this little piggy ran all the way home.
Now,
All right.
I'm sprinkling my carrots into the pot all over the onions.
Well, that sure does look pretty, Johnson.
So I got my onions in here, and I got my garlic in here, and I'm putting my carrots in now. Oh, and of course you got to put your sauerkraut in, which I was supposed to put on the top and forgot to, but it's okay. You can go in right
Tomatoes.
now.
I just got the shot. I thought I'd take advantage of it.
Oh,
Now, I'm going to tell you something. It says if your water does not cover the meatballs and all the stuff you're going to put in there, you need to put some more water in, and it's good. What you need to do, and I had to do this, but I'm not going to do it today, is you take a little bouillon beef-flavored cubes, about 2 of them, and put them in about a quart or so of water, and throw that in there. Well, I might do it. If I have a couple of spare minutes here after a while, I'll do it. But you are going to need more water in there. Now, look, these balls are doing just real pretty, and you get them real brown, because the more you do this, the less goop you're going to have to pour off the top of the soup after it's been cooking for a while. Go ahead, Johnson.
all right, now I'm putting in a can of sauerkraut. Now, you're supposed to use a jar, but I couldn't find any at the store yesterday in a jar, so I decided, well, I'm not going to go to 3 stores looking for a jar of kraut. I'll just use the canned kind. The kind in the jar is generally fresher and usually better. And you want to get all of it out your can. And this is a 1-pound can of kraut.
Well, thanks to the magic of Doris Ford, I am going to take the bouillon cubes and put them in some spare hot water. Oh, that's so hot. I'm going to put that in
Well,
there.
you could put it in the microchrometer way.
Well, I might do that too, although it
And that'll
doesn't really
heat it
need
up.
to, because you're going to cook the dickens out of it for the next couple of hours. So I
Cook the
imagine.
dickens.
Well, I was going to say something else, but I thought I'd better not. All righty. So I'm just going to let those things do whatever they do when they're in water for a couple of minutes while I'm doing some other things. I have to chop up some. I saw you. I'm going to have to chop up some garlic. They're just so nervous out there. Just, well, he still hasn't.
What?
What? The show is halfway over, Johnson.
Oh, okay. Well, what can I say? I'm trying to peel
What
this
is that?
apple and get it all off this, get the peel all off in one piece. Which I heard Natalie Dupree claim the other day that she used to do it when she was in cooking school, but no longer was able to. And we've never been to cooking school, which is obvious, I know.
I was going to say, I've noticed that none of these other cooking shows spend a great deal of time quoting us on their programs all the time.
Well, that's all right.
That'll tell you something.
Well, I heard Jeff Smith talk about us one time. And they certainly copy us a lot. All right, now look at that, ladies and gentlemen. It's all in one piece. Thank you. All in one piece. You could wear it as a lei, or you could throw it down in here because you just know nobody is going to eat it. But anyway.
Incredible, a standing ovation of the audience here at the studio.
Well, thank goodness you called it
Amazing.
that instead of what you usually do.
Oh, Johnson. I have to take a big old onion and chop it all up. You can just rough chop it because it's going to cook for about 2 hours. So don't worry if you don't get it chopped up real fine. Now, I've already chopped up some a little bit of garlic over here. And there's going to be a whole lot of chopping going on for the next couple of minutes here. Meanwhile, I'm still frying my stuff over here. All right? Just just chop a big onion.
Yeah, and I got to slice this apple, so I'm cutting the co out of it right now.
Cutting the what?
The co.
The co?
Mm-hmm. There we go.
When you
This
reckon
is
you're
a
ever gonna get
cooking apple. This is a Granny Smith, which is a good one to cook with.
When you reckon you're ever going to get our window operating again?
Oh, I don't know.
Our window's been broken.
I told you
Couple
last week they lost the directions and they forgot how to do it.
Okay, now into the tomato, chopped tomato. You put your garlic and a great big onion. Put that in there, and in a couple of minutes I'm going to add to that the extra water with a cube
Now,
or
wait a
two
minute.
of beef flavored bouillon.
Let's get over here on me.
What?
I mean, you've been on this show all day long, Bly, and
Well,
I'm
I'm
over here
sorry.
working away. And
Laban, the recipe takes a couple of minutes. If you don't want me to finish it, I'll go home.
Oh, no, please don't go home. But I am slicing this apple in a very clever way. And it's going to go on top of the pigtail.
Pay no attention to the fact that I'm going to now start chopping my cabbage. Yes, and to this you need to add some oregano also. So, little oregano goes in there. All right, go ahead, Johnson. Don't want to take any more of your time.
Throwing these apples in here, layering them nicely on top of the kraut and the onions and the garlic and the carrots. So these apples go in here and they kind of have this little seal to it. And you can do this real neat if you want to, but here we go. That is really clever over there. All right, now, after we've got all of this in, we're going to put in a tablespoon of chopped parsley. And the store didn't have any fresh parsley yesterday. Said it was awful looking. They took it off the shelf.
Well, I could have brought you some. You know, I'm always growing some at home.
Yeah.
In my backyard. All right. Cabbage goes in there, rough chopped. There you go, a whole head of it. Put that in there. Okay. Did I hit it?
Yes.
Thing is so big I
Mostly.
can't see. Put that on the stove. Now, the next thing that goes in there are the meatballs, which I'm going to put in just a couple of minutes, and also some more water. That's not enough water. Got to add some more into that. Add a little bit of salt. Okay.
In the meantime, I'm putting some brown sugar on top of the apple.
In the meantime, I'm getting some more water back here behind Mr. Johnson at
I
the sink.
swear he keeps doing stuff behind my back, and I don't like it. All right, there's my half teaspoon of brown sugar in there, and now comes the pieces de resistance.
I'm sorry.
It's so bad. Here I am putting in a shot of vodka.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, please. What a waste of good
ladies and
vodka.
gentlemen. Now, you could use 6 juniper berries, but I couldn't find those at the grocery store.
Well, we know you could find the vodka, though.
Yes, sirree.
Yes, indeedy, bub.
Just right down under the sink. And finally, after you've got all that, you're going to use 6 small new potatoes, and I couldn't find any of those, so I'm using 4 medium-sized ones, and I'm going to cut them in half and put them down in here. And just plunk them around
Jesus.
on top of this mixture, and you have to let it steam until it is completely, entirely tender, these carrots and the potatoes. And when they're tender, it's done. And there it is.
Request permission to say something.
Permission denied.
Now, you take these meatballs, you turn them off. This isn't as many as it makes, but I don't have time to mess with that. And you put those in there, okay? Put the meatballs in there. And you will cook these things. Well, first of all, you bring it to a boil. And when it gets finished boiling for a couple of seconds, then you turn it down to a nice simmer. And once you've simmered it for about an hour and a half, it's ready to eat. But also, on top of it will come any fat that you have. I don't see any because I took most of it off of this yesterday. And you'll dip the fat off and just cook them.
Dip it off.
And there you go. And this really is a real nice soup or whatever you want to call it. And that's what it looks like. And keep adding liquid to it as long as you need to cover up everything, salt and pepper and all that. Do you have something that you need to do today, Doris? Well, yes, they are awfully hot to taste. And I have the real one, Johnson, here cooking along.
Oh, well, good.
And it's just beautiful.
And here is the completed one of the pigtails, and that's all ready to be served.
Well, now, where's the pigtail
They're
part
down
of?
on the bottom.
No, I didn't
So
want to
you
miss
don't have to
them.
work too hard to get to them, though.
I didn't want to miss those babies.
Well, the sisters are here today. Let's
are
bring
they?
the old girls in here and let them come in and greet everybody and signify to us and tell us what we're doing wrong or right with our lives. So they'll
what?
With our lives.
Oh.
Yours.
Our
and
lives.
mine. Bye.
Hey, Jess. Hey, drooling all over my left hand. Stop it already. Well, hey, I got a tip for you.
Oh, yeah.
Forgot myself there for a minute. When choosing fish at the fish counter, wake up. When choosing, that's it, right there, carp. Look for eyes that are bright and clear and full, not cloudy and sunken, like Sis's here. If she was a fish, we'd throw her out. And check those gills, too. You remember an old gill friend we used to have? She used to come over and have tea with us. They should be bright red or pink, not gray, brown, or green. Well, I'm not sure, but I believe any fool ought to know that. Well, I'm Tootsie Cook.
Ooh, and I'm Sister Cook.
And we're
the
hysterical.
Cook sisters. Ah, you.
Oh, they're so much fun. Let's look at those recipes and see what they look like right now. Mock stuffed cabbage sent in by Mary Ann Sherwood of Miami. 2 pounds ground chuck, pound of pork sausage, 2 eggs, cup of raw rice, large crushed tomatoes, small can of tomato paste, large onion, garlic, oregano, salt, and pepper.
And for the pigtails, you need 2 big old pigtails or 3 little ones, a jar of sauerkraut, 3 carrots sliced, a large onion sliced, a large cooking apple sliced, a clove of garlic, a heaping teaspoon of, or tablespoon I think it is, of chopped parsley, half teaspoon of brown sugar, 6 dried juniper berries or a half shot of vodka, and 6 small new potatoes. And witchy, here she comes. Let's see what's in the mail. This, well, run it around us one time, Maisie. Well, I got a whole page letter here. Let's see what it says. Dear Laban and Larry, last Sunday morning, my husband, Buddy Ray Jr., got... You can be smacked on national television. Last Sunday morning, my husband, Buddy Ray Jr., got on me real bad because he was tired of eating sliced light bread toast every time I fixed breakfast. I said, you stone fool, what is the matter with sliced light bread toast? It were good enough for my daddy and your daddy, too, so what is wrong with it for your big old bad self? He said, do not be calling me a stone fool less'n you want to go to Sunday school the hard way. What I want is something new, and I believe that you better be trying to find something new, or else I will expand the scope of my search for something new to include another wife. You boys got anything new in the bread department? Kindly, Mrs. Buddy Ray Box Jr. of Old Barroom Floor, Kentucky. So
We're not gonna
next
get to
week
taste
we'll do
anything.
breakfast.
Yeah, next week, whatever.
breads, breakfast breads.
You try my soup and I'll... Oh, Johnson, you have just outdone yourself
I
with
know.
the tail here. I'll just have me a little piece of it because I have a big dinner planned for later tonight. It's good.
Well, this
It doesn't look too
This cornbread-
appetizing, but it's real good.
this cornbread that Doris made looks real good.
Well, look at that. It's little cacti. Little tiny cacti.
Well, I think your meatballs are delicious.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Just-
Well, this is real interesting, Johnson. If I just didn't have to work with this,
uh-huh.
I
So,
mean, it's kind of fatty and gobby and gooey and whatever, but it is good, Johnson.
oh, well, I'm
It
real
is.
glad you like it. Yeah,
I
go
noticed
on.
you're not eating any of it, Johnson.
Just pick it up and...
He's not eating his own dish today. Have you noticed this?
well, you know, I have real bad heart trouble, and I can't have the pork.
Feed me all this fat. It's fun. It's good.